Emma.
Yes, Mel.
What's it sound like when you're trying to arrange a virtual meeting with a colleague and you need to tell them like what platform you'll be using and maybe what time you're going to meet?
I don't know. What do you call it?
You say, Inazuma 11? Hello and welcome to Talk This.
Dangerous to podcast alone.
It came to me in a divine lightning strike of inspiration, host Madelyn.
I'm your folded up piece of paper host, Emma.
Ain't that the truth? And welcome to this week's show. This week we're talking about Inazuma 11 and Hirogami.
Yes.
Emma, a sports game for you.
Yes. I assume this would have, if this ever really came over to America in its heyday, I assume it would have changed me as a person. But it didn't, so...
Now here she is.
Now I am the way I am.
Yeah. It's too late. She's unmoldable now. So yeah, Inazuma 11. It's a mostly Japan only, although now it's starting to be released in the West.
No,
more.
it's Japan and Europe.
Sorry, it's a mostly not North American.
Yes.
Because we don't like soccer.
Yes.
It's a mostly soccer-loving countries exclusive series.
It is, they call it soccer in Japan, right?
Soccer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is funny. Apparently the first game did eventually come over to North America, which I believe is like the only one until the latest one to be here.
That's correct. There was a 3DS remaster of the original that was like a download-only eShop game.
And apparently the localization for the first Inazuma 11 was very British, so they relocalized it for the North American release.
That's realistic, though. I don't know.
I assume because they had to change football back to soccer.
Probably. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Among other things, perhaps.
Yeah. So Inazuma 11, as you picked up, is an RPG game about soccer players that escalates quickly. I really enjoyed reading the synopsis of the first game and then the synopsis of the like spin-off series.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened? What happened in the interim here? We used to just be boys who loved soccer, and now communism has ruined soccer. Anyway, we'll get there in Madelyn's lore corner. But the original one came out in 2008 in Japan from level 5 for the Nintendo DS. And yes, as Emma said, that is the only one that came to the States prior to Victory Road, which was released for Switch and PlayStation and PC last year. But it was for Nintendo DS. There were 3 sequels to There's
a trilogy.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean 3 sequels. There were 3 games.
Yeah.
There were 2 sequels. I understand how words work.
Well, I guess now there's 3 sequels.
Well, and then, yeah, you're right. And then there was Inazuma 11 Go, which when I opened it, I thought might be a Pokemon Go style spinoff. I mean, Inazuma 11 is kind of a collectathon, so I don't think that was...
Oh, it's very much a Pokemon clone in approach.
Yeah.
So.
Except the Pokemon are humans and they play soccer.
Yes.
Instead of death matches.
But they do still have special moves.
And types.
Yeah.
What type soccer player do you think you would be?
Man, I played everything when we played soccer, so...
I know, but I talk about you as a goalkeeper now because I think that's the funniest.
Why is that the funniest?
I don't know. Something about you, you played keeper for a long time and, were the keeper. But something about it is funny to me.
I did not love playing goalie.
I know, and I think that's why I think it's funny.
But I think I was pretty good at it for rec league soccer, at least.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, you did it when you were on the team with me.
Yeah.
So you must have been okay. You were doing it against people who are a couple years older.
And I never even got a concussion, probably.
Probably. Emma, quick, what games are we talking about? Just kidding. I'm the person who can't ever remember what games we're talking about. So Not a great example. Anyway, in Inazuma 11, so let's do Madeline's Lore Corner Part 1. Huh?
Sure.
So anyway, it's an RPG / soccer game, right? So there's a lot of like collectible players you can recruit, and then you play them in soccer matches that on the DS you play with the stylus, but seem to, on one level, operate more or less like FIFA, except that when you run into another player, you drop quickly into a duel.
Yes.
And also sometimes you can summon dragons.
Yes.
Which, FIFA World Cup. Consider. Everybody likes Rocket League, I'm just saying. Everybody likes funky soccer things. They should think about some rules changes. And also if they want to release additional cheap seats to any of the games in New Jersey. Anyway, just to me.
But yes,
personally.
in the scale of anime style sports storytelling, there's the ones that take the more realistic approach with dramatization, and there's the ones where the players can shoot laser beams out of their hands, and this is on the latter end of the spectrum.
However, storytelling-wise, the first game is, I would say, it escalates throughout the game, but the storytelling over the course of the series gets bigger and bigger and wilder and wilder. So in the first game, in Inazuma 11, you play as Mark, the character we're following is, and I'll use the US names for this because I think they're funny.
Okay.
Is Mark Evans, which, you know what, credit to them, is what a goalkeeper would be named in England.
True.
Like, that would be his name. Anyway, he's a super talented Nepo baby goalkeeper. His grandfather was also a soccer player. He's the captain of his school's team at Ryman High, right? Ryman High. But nobody else is very serious about it. And that's really hard for Mark. It's disappointing. Until Axel Blaze, who used to be the top striker at Royal Academy, I guess moves and comes to his school. And Royal Academy comes to like challenge them to a grudge match because Axel is there. And originally Axel's like, I don't want to play. But then he does play and he scores a goal. And even though Raymond Academy lost to the mighty Royal Academy, it's a big deal that they scored a goal against them. And so because of that, they're able to enter the Football Frontier Tournament. The coach of Royal Academy, by the way, his name is Ray Dark, which is just great.
Very good name.
And the name pays off because Ray Dark tries to have the Raimon Academy boys killed by draining the brake fluid on their bus.
Yeah.
And then by dropping girders on them.
I think that's normal. Are they? They're not. Are they even in high school? Middle school? Normal middle school coach behavior?
I saw it referred to as Raymond High, but you're right that later they seem to be up against a junior high school, so I am a little unclear on the age of the students involved here.
I'm not sure either.
It's difficult to know. Anyway, we proceed through the Football Frontier tournament. They beat Royal Academy. Ray kind of gets ousted from Royal Academy. Over the course of this journey, we discover that Mark Evans' grandfather was the coach for the legendary Inazuma 11, for like the legendary football frontier team.
Yeah, Inazuma 11, very traditionally British name also.
Yeah, definitely a name you'd hear the Brits use.
Yeah.
Really classically English, with just a twist of Irish.
I'm surprised
anyway.
they didn't like try to localize it as like the round table or whatever. Something British.
I mean, Inazuma is like lightning, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like just the
the
electric 11 would be pretty good. Anyway, they didn't do that. They kept the Japanese. Anyway, we find out over the course of this that his grandfather died in a bus crash on the way to the finals of the Football Frontier.
Oh.
So, yikes.
Yikes.
Anyway, they've made it further in this tournament, but they discover that they can't get any further if they don't have a coach. So they end up finding a coach who used to be part of the Inazuma 11, which is how all this stuff about his grandfather comes out. And then they train with the old guys for a while. Sure. And finally, the finals take place at a floating palace in the sky, which was an awesome parenthetical on the Wikipedia plot summary, by the way. They were like, it's at the finals. Witcher at a floating palace in the sky. I was like, good. That's good. Like, tonally, I appreciate you, Wikipedia editor, for making sure that I knew that.
I heard that's where the next World Cup is going to get hosted.
Probably.
At floating castle in the sky.
Yeah. Might be good.
Yeah.
Anyway, and now they have a rival team, Zeus, which is where Ray Dark is now coaching. We discovered they've been doping with ambrosia. Awesome. Not literal ambrosia. It's drugs that they're calling ambrosia because they're in the sky and their name's Zeus.
Right.
Anyway, eventually they manage to swap that out for just water, and the boys win. Woo!
It really does escalate, doesn't it?
Yes, but that's not even... Okay, so more context, right? All right, 3 sequels happen. I didn't read too much details of the plot of those. Instead, I read details of the plot for Inazuma 11 Go, which came out like 2011, 2012. The sequels came out, bam, 2008, 2009, 2010. And then Go, like the next series, spin-off, whatever, I think came out in 2011, 2012. Let me just read this to you. Straight from Wikipedia, 2 things. The game takes place in a world where an organization called Fifth Sector rules over the world of soccer and manipulates matches as an authoritarian dictatorship based on broad communistic values of distributing soccer and the joy of victory equally among everyone. So the idea is that because of the grand travails of the first trilogy of Inazuma 11, soccer has become so popular and so important to the status of school that if they have a bad soccer team, the school more or less closes. And so that's bad. And so the Fifth Sector comes in. They are ruled by the Holy Emperor.
Sure.
Which is great. And basically the Holy Emperor decides whether a team wins or loses to make sure that he keeps the schools open by balancing out the happiness of success.
The dreaded participation trophy givers.
Anyway, I hope that Holy Emperor Alex Zabel sees fit to bestow upon the University of Miami the National College Football Championship next Monday.
Not that kind of football.
Shoot! Dang it! Anyway, in this game, the new Inazuma 11 or the new Raimon High team is like, wait a minute! Soccer should be real!
Yeah.
And so they go up against the communist dictator.
Great. Good.
And then the new ones, the one that just came out in 2025, is about a different school, like defeating Raimon High, like wanting to take them down, which I thought. It's always fun when we take the long-running protagonists, we make them the antagonists.
Yeah. Inazuma 11, as I said, took the Pokemon approach to its launch and success in that it's a very multimedia project. It's very, technically the first thing to release for Inazuma 11 was the manga, which ran in Koro, which is the big, children's manga magazine in Japan. And then I think that started in June, and then the first game came out in August, to pretty not bad, but 400,000 sales, which was not as good as they wanted, but not bad. But then the anime started in October, which then provided it a big boost 3 months down the line. And so they very much purposely released all these things in succession to each other in order to hopefully support the series' success as a big franchise.
Full media empire.
Yeah. Like Pokemon, essentially.
Do you think that's possible now? I mean, anime crossover in this way, sure. Do you think that could ever happen in the West?
I mean, even with anime, usually the games come out way after the anime. The manga is popular, the anime gets really popular, the Shonen Jump of the moment, and then they release some awful video game for it. I think the key video game part, just doesn't work anymore. Like, they just can't time it like that because they're not just putting out games every year in a series.
I guess I'm just thinking of something like, as someone who watched Arcane as a complete, I know nothing about League of Legends. I mean, it didn't really, I guess that's not true, because I watched it knowing that there was no chance I would want to play League of Legends.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if any of these kind of gamey success things will lead to anyone being like, oh yeah, I've made my game, but also there's a Netflix original coming out. I guess if Netflix games, I can't believe I've talked about Netflix games like 3 episodes in a row here. That does feel like if Netflix games were anything real, the model you'd want to use.
Yeah. There was that, like, what was it called? Secret Lab thing?
Oh, maybe.
That came out and had at least one episode based on, like, an already... Was it Concord? Was it Concord? They have a Concord episode? It was something like that. Or Anthem,
Yes.
maybe?
Yeah.
Some sort of canceled game that was already canceled by the time that it came out. So there's that problem, too.
Emma, what do you think? Did you read about Sega's lawsuit over this game?
I did not. Tell me about Sega's lawsuit.
So in 2012, when, mind you, like 6, actually no, I think 8 Inazuma 11 games of one kind or another have been released at this point. Sega sued Level 5. Sega has the Football Manager series, which is another big, like, soccer series, obviously. And they sued Level 5 over their use. They said it was, they were infringing on their patent because they used the stylus to control characters.
Wow.
And they wanted $7 million and the removal of the entire series from storefronts.
Did they settle, or did they just lose?
I didn't find, as is often frustratingly the case.
Obviously, Sega did not win that. I have to assume that they probably had to settle. But yeah, that's really funny considering how many video games on the DS you use the stylus to control your character.
I know. I was like, oh, maybe there's some kind of weird proprietary...
Control your character in a soccer context?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
SegaRetro.org says the details of the case were largely kept out of the public eye. So either it was unsuccessful or it was settled privately.
Yeah. What a wild... Video game companies are wild.
I know.
Negative.
Like, what a weird... Especially given, like, how much is a game like Inazuma 11 and a game like Football Manager, like, how much are those...
Really crossing over?
Correct.
I mean, yeah, despite both theoretically being about soccer and or football, I don't think the audience is there for the same reasons necessarily.
Right.
I was reading some reviews of the latest one, which I do have to add the disclaimer of almost assuredly was developed with some AI, based on they used images for it in like their AI presentation. So, yeah. But I was reading reviews for it. It really sounds like the appeal is kind of oddly like Pokemon-ish, but also, Adventure of Tokyo Persona-ish.
Yeah.
In that, like, you're just like a kid and you play soccer, but you also, go about your daily life and like do various little daily life activities also. And so it's like that nostalgic escapist piece. It's just like instead of dungeon crawling, you're playing soccer matches.
Which, honestly, there's got to be more of a market for that. It's surprising there's not more games.
That's my line. You're stealing my thing.
I know that's your line.
You have your own things. I guess I stole your Inventor of Tokyo line, so it's fair. We traded.
That's fine.
But yes, no, yeah, I'm surprised. It really, if the DS games had come over here more promptly, I do think this would have really locked my worldview,
Yeah.
For how much I say we need sports video games.
Give us
that have
sports.
narrative.
Give us sports.
Because, yeah, this is pretty much what I want. It's a shame I don't feel comfortable playing the new one.
Is this what you? I'm trying to lock in on Emma Core here a little bit. Is the bombastic, over the top sports narrative here what you want?
I mean, it's more what
I know
I
you'll
want.
take anything you can get.
It's more what I want than just like manager mode in FIFA.
Sure. That's fair. I'm just like, this is not a very like human
Sure.
sports story.
Sure.
I'm sure at some point they will kill God with a soccer ball in this series.
I'm sure
if
they
haven't
have.
already.
I'm
I
sure
know.
if you go through it, they've done it. There's time travel. There's like dinosaurs, I think. Like they got it all.
Yeah, the whole concept, the new one not only has a story mode, but also has like a time capsule, a chronicle mode, maybe, I think, where you can go back and relive the major matches and events of the previous like 6 games of the series, which is cool. I mean, the AI stuff is bad, but the idea of being able to replay something, it made me think of other big series of games that I play that have many entries, and how like bizarro cool it would be to like within a game be able to play abridged versions of those games.
That would be funny.
That would be crazy. Honestly, if Kingdom Hearts did that with just like each game having like the boss rush and a little bit of story, that'd be sick. Anyway, but the like trappings of that mode are that you're some character from like a post-apocalyptic future or something, and you're having to go back and assemble in time and assemble key members of all the Inazuma 11s throughout history to save the world with soccer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
They're remaking the first one again.
Yeah.
For next year.
Well, we'll see.
Supposedly for next year. This game, the one that came out was like super delayed and was supposed to be 4 different games.
Yeah, we talked about Fantasy Life recently too, and that the level 5 has just finally been getting games out after a long break. After big development hells. The last one that's also in development hell is the new Professor Layton, which was announced several years ago now. I've seen at least one joke on Blue Sky being like, Professor Layton and the secret of the stable diffusion. Which does have it's funny because it does have like the right cadence.
Yeah.
For like a detective subtitle.
Awesome. Yeah, get me Layton up against AI.
Anyway, anything else to add about Inazuma 11?
Just echoing Emma's call, more sports games. Sports games fun.
Yeah.
Sports games good.
Yeah.
So hopefully, yeah, and more weird sports games.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get some ping pong games?
That would be cool.
Do you think Marty Supreme will bring a wave? No.
Those aren't the types of influence and lessons that games take from movies.
No.
They don't go for subject matter, really. I don't think.
I thought it was worth a try.
Is Marty Supreme even really about ping pong?
He gets spanked with a ping pong paddle at some point, so yeah.
That's the criteria. I just feel like
so.
The trailers I've seen have like not shown any ping pong. Maybe because they're afraid.
I think they're afraid that if you like, better be like, oh, it's Timmy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's,
he's running around.
Yeah.
He's being really intense.
Yeah.
But yeah. I wasn't aware that it was about ping pong until recently, So
effective marketing campaign. All right. Anyway, let's talk about Hirogami.
Yes. I added this like when it came out. And so I did not quite realize how subdued of a launch it has had.
Yep.
So Hirogami was developed by Bandai Namco Singapore and Malaysia offices, which is now Nintendo's Singapore office. Yes, as of like last month, they purchased them from Bandai Namco. It's action adventure type game with an origami.
Platformer.
A what?
A platformer.
A platformer. Same thing. There's not a platformer category at the Game Awards, Madeline, so it's not a real genre. That goes in Best Family Game. With a origami-like style. I remember seeing it at like several different like big showcases and getting coverage from the leftover big coverage givers. But yeah, very, very small game that we're talking about here.
It's a game that reads on paper. I'm not the only one to make that. Like every review I read was like, it sounds like a good idea on paper.
Yes, it's very funny.
Which, you know, whatever. I chuckled. I did chuckle. I was like, oh, haha. So I did it too. It's a game that sounds on paper like a Talk to Smash Up. Like a good Talk to Smash Up. Like when we were like, oh my gosh, you would use origami to justify the mechanics.
Yeah.
Like we'd be psyched as heck to have come up with this idea. And the idea is cool. So you play as Hiro, who's like a paper kitsune hero, basically. Originally an artist, and then these digital blights come in the world, and Paper Hero has got to save the world. And all of the mechanics are based around like different origami forms. So early on, you get the ability to, you know, refold yourself into a paper frog, so you can like jump high, or you can turn into a paper crane / airplane to fly, or a paper ape. That can't be a traditional origami form, but what do I know? So you can swing on things, or you can sometimes just flatten out into a piece of paper. And it's the kind of like interesting, cool design limitation that, like, to be honest, if someone had come up with the idea for this game in like 2009, it would be like like a formative indie game.
Like it is kind of I mean different in its approach, but is kind of a Kami-like, right? In its visual stylings or visual it takes one visual technique that's very cultural and dedicates itself to it, essentially. But it was made as part of like an internal game jam thing. They call it in interviews the full game challenge or whatever, but I don't. It's unclear what the specifics are. But essentially, they have like an internal thing where studios within Bandai Namco like made their own game, and so I wonder if you can trace some of like the choices there to like the fact that they were working as part of this thing that they were doing, right?
Oh, you definitely can. In some of the interviews I read with the dev team, it's hard to get an answer on what was the budget and how much development time was there, but they talk a lot about, I mean, this is true of any game, right? You have to cut features for time or budget or scope creep or that sort of thing. But it comes up frequently in interviews with them of saying, oh, you know, we really were on a pretty tight timeline here. Or, oh, we wanted to have more of these features, but we didn't feel like we had time for it. So it's definitely, I mean, it's a cool idea. Basically the idea, and some of the interviews also talked a lot about how, you know, these Singapore, Malaysia studios are not driving the creative idea generation at Bandai Namco very much.
They're mostly like, support studios. Yeah.
So it's a neat idea to be able to give those studio members an opportunity to serve as creative leads. That said, this game was made by like, I mean, they said, oh, it was cool to be within a big studio because we could ask people to help us sometimes. But it was really like 7-ish people working on it. So little game.
Yeah.
And little game that did not get like great reviews.
Yeah. Very mid reviews. Which again, if this was like a game that came out when not very many games came out, you could see it like turning around into like a cult classic situation. But now if your game's kind of mid, that's it. Goodbye.
I just sort of feel like not even a cult classic. It's interesting to me because almost all the reviews say the visual style really cool, right? And what a cool idea for a game. And the kinds of things that people didn't like about it were it's a little repetitive, the combat is sort of and the fixed camera perspective sometimes makes the jumping hard. And it's interesting because I think some of that stuff in 2009 we might not have cared so much about.
Yeah.
Like if this was this week's old game, I wouldn't be surprised if people were like, oh, like Hirogami, you know, launched a whole idea of these like hand-painted platformers or whatever. But because it came out now, gosh, there's just no space. Platformer type indie games in general. It's like, oof, you've got to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
To make an impact.
I do think it is interesting. I feel like there is right now a sort of larger trend in game development where there's been these like craft inspired and or just fully stop motion games coming out.
Yep.
Like sort of in the upper indie sphere, which I would classify this as kind of. Yep. It's interesting because it feels a little bit like, you know, AAA is striving for realism in its graphics. And so in some ways it feels like, well, in the upper indie sphere, we cannot, you know, aim for that necessarily in our budget. Although I guess stop motion is probably just as expensive, if not more, as like, I don't know. I don't know the budgets of it. But it does feel like
these guys said, by the way, there's a little bit of like stop motion aesthetics in this game. And they were like, we thought that would be easy. And actually it was really hard.
Yeah. But it feels like it's like, oh, we're looking for a way to bring realism to the look without necessarily having to have like the graphical expertise for like human faces or whatever.
Yeah, no, this is incredibly detailed visually, but it's not a live action movie. Definitely popular.
But no, it's not even like, but some of it is live action, right? Or is at least trying to ape live action. It's just not trying to look like humans.
Right. Oh, sorry. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
Like this, I think is meant to feel very physical, even though this is not, right? But it's supposed to look like paper. It's not like abstracted paper.
Yeah.
It's supposed to look like paper.
Well, it's especially interesting given that sort of, you know, animation, I feel like, I mean, has certainly moved away from paper, but has moved into kind of one often quite homogeneous digital visual aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's anime.
Which is also digital.
Sorry, of course anime is not actually hand-drawn.
Yeah.
I just mean there's an anime aesthetic, which is also digital, but it looks like drawings to a certain extent.
Well,
and then
I mean, it's drawings, but it's...
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm trying to distinguish
it's
between...
not
like,
on physical paper. Yeah.
Correct.
Most of the
I'm
time.
trying to distinguish between... There's the Pixar style, which anyone would look at and say that's digital. And then there's anime, which, if you didn't know, you might think was drawn, unless you're looking at a bad CGI portion. But that's what I mean. There's like those two aesthetics. Drawn. Oh my god, you know what I mean? I understand that it's drawn on digital things. I just mean that you might think it's like Hayao Miyazaki drawing individual cells on his desk.
Well, he does still do that, I'm pretty sure.
I know he still does that. But he's 200 years old.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that there is still drawing happening.
Oh my god, I know. Okay. I'm just saying there are these two aesthetics that are like both, one of which is not physical in its feeling at all, and one of which is quite specific in its
I feel
drawing
like
style.
Western cartoons also have like one look to them.
One ugly look, yes.
Well, depends. Yeah.
One mostly ugly look, yes.
It has some like what is the word I'm looking for? Spectrum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Outliers.
Well, there's like the adult animation, and then there's like the prestige or
Sure.
animation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point being, it's interesting that games are not necessarily taking that visual style from movies in the animated sense of when they are doing something that is stylized, right?
Mm-hmm.
That stylization is leaning into these like physical craft aesthetics. It's interesting. Hirogami is also one of the few Brave games that did not move its release for Silksong.
Yeah. I don't think moving its release would have helped them.
Well, also, there are developers who work as support staff to a larger studio, so ultimately this game selling well doesn't matter.
Well, I think they sold them, so I don't know if that had to do with Hirogami specifically at all, but they were sold, so.
I guess, I mean, this is not the,
Sold
maybe
to
that happened
Nintendo, for what it's worth, but still sold.
Well, I also read that apparently the studio also did some work on, like, the Japanese localization of, or maybe it was the publisher, I don't know. The like, little outside publisher that worked on it also did some Japanese localization work on Silksong. So some people were like, oh, they don't care. Like, they're gonna make their money regardless.
I don't think that's really how that works, but they were probably already paid for that.
They're gonna make their press impressions regardless.
Sure.
They're gonna get to post about it regardless.
Sure.
I just thought it was interesting that, I imagine some of that decision, like if you were a 7-person indie team out there on your own, it's probably a slightly harder decision to go up against Silksong than if you're a 7-person indie team who, like, let's face it, unless the game reviews really, really well, is never going to get to make a game like this again.
I mean, also, it might not have been necessary. It might have just been Bamco's decision at the Bandai. Bamco's decision at, like, the higher level.
Yeah.
And not necessarily theirs.
But yeah, they were not afraid of Silksong. And Emma's right. Didn't matter. Reviews were mid.
And just, at least on Steam, very, very few reviews. It is multi-console release, so that might be part of it. But I was looking at the Steam page and was like, oh, man, that's rough.
Well, Paper Mario reigns supreme, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they want them.
I mean, honestly, maybe. The visuals are pretty.
Yeah.
So maybe they do just want them to polish up Paper Mario.
Yeah. You heard it here first. New Paper Mario coming soon.
Yeah, it's been spoiled. That should be a big indicator.
You can fold Mario up into a paper crane.
That would be awesome, frankly.
Nintendo, you can't steal that. You have to pay us.
Yeah.
You get so worked up about people stealing from you, so I expect...
If Mario shows up as a paper crane, I will sue.
I expect royalties immediately.
I will be. You have infringed upon... And frankly, if you move Mario with a stylus, I will sue. On behalf of Sega.
We'll reignite the console wars, yeah.
Correct. Well, shall we mash? We've got plenty of time to concoct a good mashup here.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay, gotta be sports based.
Sports, absolutely.
Probably also need some kind of crafty elements. That's a little tricky to bring together.
Paper football.
Interesting.
I don't know if the kids still play paper football. So for anyone...
they've banned cell phones in New York City schools, and apparently, like, card games are back.
All right. So
maybe,
now is the time, kids.
Yeah.
If your phone has been locked up and you have not figured out how to pick it yet, what you do is you fold a piece of paper. Paper is something that you can write on. Sometimes you maybe have to print, things. That's what paper is. You fold it into a triangle-like shape, and then you essentially flick field goals. Is there, like, passing back and forth?
No, I think of it as it's just the field goal kicking.
Yeah, so you set up a field goal with your hands so that, you have the posts and the bottom line. And the person across from you attempts to flick this little triangle-shaped piece of paper through your field goal fingers. And if they're successful, they score, and then you trade sides. And you just do that, I assume, to a point total of your choosing.
So that seems like a good Nintendo Labo game. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm thinking of, like, crafting, but also sports. Paper football game where, like, you're like an after school club, right? You're a kid, you go to after school clubs, and there's, like, the bullies, right? But the way the hierarchy is established in the after school club is through, like, paper football. And so in order to, like, put the bullies in their place and, like, save your friend from torment, you have to master paper football skills. And maybe it's like, like Bushido ball. You have, like special abilities and stuff, right? And rise through the ranks to become the best paper footballer in the club. And then there's, like, a rival school after school club that you have to take on after that, because they've heard so much about how good you are. And so you all come together, right?
Look, you've put a lot of effort into this pick.
Yeah?
So please don't take this the wrong way.
Okay.
Okay, here. I think it will be difficult with paper football. Both to, like, I think some of the joy of paper football is probably crafting the football with your hands. And
maybe there's, like, different paper footballs, like the pins in Tin Pin Slammer.
Yes, this is kind of what I'm getting at. But I feel like selecting different paper footballs without having to put the work into crafting them is not interesting.
I see.
I also am worried about something like paper football being able to escalate to the plot degree of even Hirogami has pretty high stakes. It's hard to imagine this escalating beyond...
That's because you lack imagination.
Sure, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's hard to imagine the stakes reaching the level that I would wish.
I was just picturing, like, the last one is, like, if you lose, they literally get to kill you. Like, you're putting your life on the line.
It's a paper football, though.
Yeah, but happen? That's what I'm saying, Mal. It's a world where that's really important. Like soccer.
Look, you can try it, but the kids don't even know what paper football is, so it's hard to imagine this getting traction.
I agree about the crafting part, though. Unfortunately, the Nintendo DS no longer exists, and so any sort of folding mechanic wouldn't work. Could only work on the DS with the stylus.
Maybe you could force it with the little DualSense touchscreen thing.
It just wouldn't feel as good,
It wouldn't, but that's my offer. What other crafts exist?
What other crafts exist?
Yeah, rattle off. I need some help coming up with, like, craft ideas.
Knitting,
like, rattle off some
scrapbooking,
okay.
Embroidery, woodworking.
You can probably do something with scrapbooking, maybe.
Masonry. Blacksmithing.
Wait, what?
Blacksmithing.
Okay.
Blacksmithing
also possibly interesting. It doesn't feel crafty in the quite the same way, but like a game where your job is to like craft the weapons for something.
The pottery.
That's crazy that Emma had to like. Emma was like doing the ghost hands over there and couldn't think of the name.
I was trying to remember if it had like a term that wasn't just also the noun, but I don't think it does.
Like ceramics maybe, but like pottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glass blowing.
None of these are lending themselves to systems or combinations with sports, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do, whatever. Like, it would be interesting to have a game that was like, it would be hard. Well, I guess this is the case in Inazuma 11, too. Like, you have to win. Would be interesting to have a game version of, like, Great British Bake Off.
Yeah.
With some, like, behind-the-scenes drama.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I mean, obviously there are any number now of reality shows that are based on... Ron Swanson's got a woodworking one, right?
Probably.
And Amy Poehler does the, like, crafts-based one that nailed it, maybe? And there's a lot of these, like, game showy things. Could be interesting to do a craft-based game show.
Game.
RPG.
A game show RPG would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is the... Oh, I've watched an embarrassing amount of people playing this because it's funny. There's some, like, reality show. It's not The Bachelorette. I can't remember what the brand is, but it is, like, a game show and, like, you go in... Oh, Top Model, maybe? Anyway, there is like a very not greatly made, but in a sort of a funny way, game show game about being like a woman on some sort of reality show that I can't remember exactly which one it is. And I think it has a lot of potential. Is what I'm saying, because it has like relationships with the other people competing, and you have like the challenges you have to do. And like having to like manage your time a little bit and also manage like your personal life a little bit. And so if you took that and like expanded it out, I think that could be something.
Yeah, a Project Runway based one, probably good. I mean, that's probably good too. This is my best pitch. Does it take very much from Hirogami at all? No. But that's fine, I think. I'm just trying to figure out what she's thinking about.
I think it's next Top Model. Yeah.
Cool. The reason she couldn't remember is the concussion she got.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's just because I don't watch a lot of game shows.
Well, to be honest, I hate to say this, I really do. I think the craft-based game show with some story, and it could really escalate. The stakes on it could get really high eventually. Especially if we wanted to make it, there's the first game could just be like a normal game show. We're all trying to win $1 million for our good causes or whatever. But by game 4, you're dead. The whole world ends if you don't win.
People do love death games. And
I know.
Essentially that could be what this is. Yeah.
Craft-based death game.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Ultimately, but people like the Hunger Games, so ultimately is what I'm slowly inventing here, kind of the Hunger Games? Yes.
But unfortunately, people like the Hunger Games,
So, maybe it'll sell. Anyway, folks, thanks for listening. This has been another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
If you have thoughts about the show, would you like to see other craft-based games? Are you on the Emma ride of more sports in video games at any cost? would you have moved your indie game for Silksong? And would it matter to you if you were within a larger studio or not to decide that? Well, if you have thoughts about this or anything else that we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat Emma's about to pull from, and read our blog, which features Emma's anime openings and closings from last year rankings.
Yes, not mine. Not the ones I made.
Features Emma's anime openings and closings that she made.
The rankings of
Emma's rankings
yes.
of anime opening and credit segments. You can also, but most importantly, if you visited our website, you followed us on social media, you ought to also subscribe to the show. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, anywhere you can find podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode on Sundays. It's my side quest next week, which is not going to be about Martin Luther King Jr. in games.
Okay,
that's a joke.
We do have to look up if he's in any.
I'm going to as soon as we wrap this episode, just so I know. Okay. Maybe I'll do a blog on it. No, that would be crazy. I'm not going to do that, but I'll think about it. But Emma, what are we talking about in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, we are talking about Geometry Wars for our old game.
Okay.
And Look Outside for our new game.
Awesome. So when we finish our math,
we're allowed to go to recess.
Correct. Well, that's this week's show. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Emma, sign us off.
This week, don't do ambrosia, kids.